Hi, and welcome to the Rapid Wonderlic Mastery course. In the following 16 modules, you'll learn the test-taking techniques we've developed over years of carefully studying the Wonderlic Test. These strategies will help you instantly eliminate wrong answers, quickly identify patterns, and effectively manage your time, so you can score as high as you possibly can. In the following module, we're going to discuss the contents of the test and structure of the course. We'll explain more about why we created this course, what makes it unique, and how best to study from it. Then we'll finish up with some of our best test-taking tips to get you started off on the right foot. Take your time while going through the modules. There's a lot of information here for you, and we want to make sure you absorb it all. So feel free to pause these videos at any point. Last but not least, we're really happy to see you here, and we hope you enjoy the course. Best of luck! The test structure. The questions on the Wonderlic are deceptively easy. If you took the sample test, you might have been fooled into believing that the test is a cakewalk. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. If time were no factor, then everyone would receive a good grade. However, that's not the case. 75% of test takers receive a 27 or lower, meaning that out of 50 questions, they're only able to answer slightly more than half. In fact, only 3 to 4% of applicants even finish the questions at all. Even for engineers, the average score is only about 30, meaning you can skip 15 questions entirely and still be in the top 5% of test takers. The Wonderlic is designed to test your ability to think abstractly and work efficiently under pressure. With a total of 50 questions and only 12 minutes, you'll have about 14.4 seconds on average to both read and solve each question. That means that every single minute on the test is worth at least 4 points. All questions are weighed equally, and the test neither increases in difficulty nor adapts to right or wrong answers. You won't earn extra points for answering complex spatial reasoning questions or multi-step algebraic equations. Plus, your score is not segmented by subject, so your report won't show your results separately for numerical reasoning and verbal literacy. Because you'll need to judiciously skip time-consuming questions, even one wrong answer could make a huge impact on your overall score. After all, on the Wonderlic, every point counts. That's why, when answering the questions, you have to think critically. Succeeding is less about how much you actually know and far more about your capacity to work efficiently and intelligently. By following the guidelines that we lay out for you, you'll be able to easily weave your way through the test skipping and guessing strategically to a higher score. You'll know how test takers design the test. And when test day comes, you'll be more than prepared. Why we created this course. The Wonderlic is far more difficult than it seems. We found that too many hardworking, talented individuals were turned away from jobs they were otherwise qualified for, just because their test scores were simply too low. While the Wonderlic can be useful as a metric, many highly competent individuals fail the test just because they're not familiar with the structure. We created this course for busy people like you who need to prepare for the test as quickly as possible. Maybe you've been out of school for a few years, or maybe you're just nervous, and rightly so. In any case, we wanted to give promising candidates the tools they needed to grapple with this particularly tricky psychometric test. While the Wonderlic is difficult, anyone can succeed if they're armed with a proven test-taking strategy and well-thought-out tactics for the Wonderlic's 24 different kinds of questions. We feel that no one should be turned away from their dream job or school just because they didn't know what to expect from a standardized test. Why this course is unique. This is one of the only online courses devoted solely to the Wonderlic Test. Far more than a cursory review, our preparation modules are laser-focused on the skills you need to succeed. Free of fluff, extraneous tips, and generous nonsense, our resources are not only incredibly comprehensive, but also extremely practical. Our goal in this course is not to teach you basic mathematics. You can find numerical reasoning help anywhere. Chances are, though, you probably already know everything you'll need for the test. As we mentioned before, the questions on the test are not all that difficult. In this course, we explain exactly how to approach every one of the 24 different question types within the given time limit. Our step-by-step video tutorials show you the shortcuts that you should be using at every turn. With only a few days' notice, you won't have a lot of time to prepare before the test. We know your time is limited, so we didn't want you to have to spend hours reviewing irrelevant formulas. That's why we created a compact course with only the essential information you'll need to know. Last but not least, written by our psychometric professionals, the videos and questions you find in this course are representative of the real test. Not only do our experts take the Wonderlic on a regular basis, but we also elicit feedback from former students, so we know our material is highly accurate and always current. On average, our students improve their score by 10 points using our techniques and practice questions. Designed with a busy professional in mind, our course will help you get to the heart of each concept as quickly as possible. Course curriculum. Our course curriculum is divided into 5 different sections. 1. If you haven't done so already, click over to the Free Test tab to take a sample Wonderlic test. The questions are very similar to the ones you encounter on the actual exam. We want you to take this test first before you begin watching the modules so that you can measure your progress. We also want you to take the test first so you'll better understand what kind of challenges you'll be facing before we show you how to overcome them. 2. We'll go through our general approach to the test and give you an overall survey of Wonderlic's strategies. Many of these you'll find at the end of this module. 3. Once you have a better understanding of the test overall, we'll focus in on the questions themselves. We'll spend the majority of the course learning specific tactics and tricks designed for the different kinds of questions you'll see later. 4. Finally, we'll put these strategies into practice on real sample tests. 5. After each sample test, you'll review all of the test questions, including the ones you answered correctly. With our detailed explanations, we'll help you fill in any gaps in your knowledge. How best to study? Go through the course curriculum as it was designed, starting with the diagnostic test and ending with the practice test. Make sure that you watch each video at least twice. While it may seem unnecessary at times, we want to make sure that you fully absorb the material so you can implement it later on. Trust us on this one. Repetition is the key to mastery. If you want to reprogram your brain to rapidly speed through tricky questions, you'll need to give it time to adjust. General test-taking strategy. Only attempt questions you can solve in 15 seconds. As you go through the Wonderlic test, make sure you're only answering questions you absolutely know you can solve within 15 seconds or less. If for any reason you can't find a clear path to the solution, after 10 seconds or so, eliminate any obviously wrong answer and make your best guess. Don't insist on solving these questions for any reason, even if you feel as if you're almost there. Too many bright individuals make this mistake and waste precious moments trying to prove they're competent. In the extra 30 seconds you spend solving 3 to 4 difficult questions, you could easily earn 4 to 5 easy points. Plus, your attention will wander and your confidence will drop while you're struggling with a problem you didn't even need to solve in the first place. Remember, you can completely ignore 20 questions and still receive an above-average grade. So don't hesitate to skip difficult problems. In fact, statistically, by guessing on 15 questions can actually raise your score 3 to 4 points. Never leave an answer blank. The Wonderlic does not deduct points for incorrect answers, so make sure to fill in an answer for every single question. If you leave a question blank, there's no chance you'll earn any points, but you have a 20% chance of answering correctly just by guessing at random. Plus, with each answer you eliminate, you can raise your score by 20%, drastically increasing your chance of earning an extra point. While you're welcome to mark the number of difficult questions on your piece of scrap paper, in all likelihood, you won't have time to return to them. Use your scrap paper wisely. You're allowed one sheet of scrap paper on the Wonderlic to use as you'd like. While you will need to use a scrap paper here and there to solve various algebraic equations, you should really try to avoid using the scrap paper whenever possible. During the course, we will actually show you exactly which 3 question types require the use of scrap paper. Don't look at the clock too frequently. The clock is there to help you track your time, but if you glance up too frequently, you'll lose your concentration. Focus on the question at hand and use the clock to help you determine whether or not to skip a question. However, make sure that you look back up at the clock again during the last minute of the test to make sure you can fill in any unanswered questions before time runs out. Recap. The Wonderlic is designed to test your ability to think critically and creatively under pressure, but most people struggle because they're just not prepared. With only 12 minutes to answer 50 questions, you're going to have to be very judicious with your use of time. Even if you know how to solve a difficult multi-step question, you should skip it and make an educated guess. Since all questions are weighted equally, you're better off strategically skipping around to collect easy points. Now go on to the next module to start studying the Wonderlic question types in detail.